You're listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, episode 26. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, where positivity and spirituality create an enhanced life's journey with the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha. I am your host, Iya Omileti Olubumi. Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. I am Iya Omileti. Thank you for spending some of your time with me to talk about all things Orisha, spirituality, and growth. So grab a cup of tea, something to drink, and let's chat. Today's episode is especially brought to you by our own Orisha Wisdom's Ori affirmations. Do you want to know what Ori is? Want to connect with your Ori? This is a free resource available just for you, and you can go get it at www.orishawisdom.com/Ori1. That would be ORI1. I want to take a moment to thank all of you who listen in and support the podcast. When you get a moment, look us up on iTunes and leave us a comment and a review of what you think. It really means a ton to me, and I read each and every one. Which brings me to, I want to give a shout out to Real Ogun Girl, who gave a 5-star review on iTunes. This is what she says. This is my favorite Orisha-related podcast. Iya Omileti is a wonderful teacher. Her information is right on and her delivery is amazing. I could listen to her soothing voice talk about Ifa and Orisha for hours. I eagerly await each new episode. While it is focused on beginners in the tradition, there is plenty here to interest those who have been around a while too. Don't miss the podcast. Thank you so much for listening, Real Ogun Girl, and for the time that you took to write us your comment and your review. I am glad that you're enjoying our podcast and find value not only for the newest person, just finding the Orisha path, but also for our esteemed priests and, of course, longtime Orisha followers. We're very, very happy to have you as part of this amazing community. So remember, everyone, leave us your comments and we may give you a shout out right here on the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. Let's go into today's episode because although this is early in the year 2019, don't worry. No matter if you're listening to this episode later on, this still applies because you can begin to work on your Ori. So no matter if you're listening to this episode later on this year or on another year, you can begin to line up your thoughts and you on the inside to align with your Ori so that you can get fundamentally where you need to go and do the things that you need to do. Now, I know that the Ori affirmations are something that we give away here at Orisha Wisdom. And maybe you have them, maybe you saw them. There are some cute pictures in there, but maybe you skipped to the back where the affirmations are, and then you kind of looked at them and then forgot about them after 4 days. And it's okay. I'm not trying to make you feel guilty, but I want to explain the importance of aligning your Ori and getting it set for success. Because if you are setting up your Ori for success, then your Ori will set you up for success. Got lost in that for a bit? Don't worry, I'll explain. Everyone is super fast in rushing to learn about the Orishas. They scour the groups and the internet on how do I get an Orisha shrine? What do I do? When will I start mounting eguns? Who's going to be my priest? Are you my priest? Which book do I get? And many folks forget that there is an intricate line of defense in the spiritual traditions of Orisha following. The first spiritual line of defense is Ori, your Ori, everybody's Oris. It's like this. Here's you, all handsome you or cute you. Here you are on earth and you're desperately seeking Orisha. When you have one right on your head, mind blown. I know. Everybody's seeking Orisha. And the way that the traditions go is that you have one already on your head. We all have our own personal Orisha on our head. This being has only one job, and that is to do what it is guided to do, instructed by you, and to support you. Of course, this is a bit more complex, but for the sake of this podcast, I'm going to shorten it for a bit. In heaven, here you go, you as your highest self, and now you're considering working on, quote unquote, because you can't see me, air quotes, some things. So you decide to come down to earth and you choose your skin, body, etc. But something even bigger, you choose and agree with Orunmila your destiny. And then you get ready for your voyage down to earth. And yes, you have a destiny. And of course, you forget about it and all craziness goes loose because now you don't know what direction you need to take. If you want a little bit more information on this, listen to episode 16, and I will list it in the show notes. You don't need to do anything right now, but it goes a little bit on the trajectory of what happens when you come down and how Ori and you kind of are, I can't say split, but how there's a slight separation and how you are, part of you is in heaven and part of you is here and one of you is kind of lost and the other one is trying to desperately get you where you need to go. That is a very interesting episode, so I will list it. Don't worry about it. We go more in depth on that. This episode is a bit more than episode 16. It's more of the how-tos, which can be so helpful in your inner work, especially as you are working to either change a bad habit, create a new habit, change an aspect of yourself, or do something with an actual positive outcome. Some people think that they are unlucky, right? Everything bad always happens to me. Or just that life happens to me. Life always happens to me. I don't know why these things are always happening to me. And it's just that they give conflicting messages to their Oris and their outcomes can be a little challenging. You know that I love actionable steps and lists, and I like those things. I'm going to give you some pointers that you can begin to implement right now, literally right now, to help you to go to your successful path. I know that this is a spiritual podcast. However, when it comes to our traditions, it's really not separate. For example, every day I am a priestess of Orisha. I am a mother, a wife, an employee. That doesn't turn off. The same goes for worshipers of Orishas every day. You're still you, and you still worship, and you still have lives. So these things are all kind of interwoven together. Here we go with the steps. Step 1, take the time to listen what you tell yourself. Really, take the time. I have a little notebook or a little something to kind of keep me in check. So here are some examples. I am broke. I'm a horrible person. No one loves me. I am just, and place in here adjective, ugly, fat, lazy, whatever it is, not smart, whatever it is. And then listen to the messages that you are giving yourself. This is a step that in order to begin to assess, you're going to need to do that. I would do this, I think, for the next, I don't know, 24 hours to maybe 72 hours. So 1 to a couple of days straight. Just listen. Write down in a little notebook. And for all you people who are allergic to paper, use an app. And every time you think something with a message, as the ones above, or, like the ones that I mentioned, or anything like that, just write it down. Just a message. Okay. Now, number 2, now that the days have passed, it's time to review. Review the messages that you have been telling yourself. For the sake of this podcast, I'm going to choose one. Let's choose I'm broke, because this is such a common statement that it is said not only to ourselves, but frankly, to anyone who is willing to listen. Let's choose that one. Write down the examples of you being broke. Yes, you know what? This part will suck big time. But I will get to the whys later on, and I will get to how this involves your Ori. Let's say your light bill was turned off. You went to the grocery store and your debit card got declined. You didn't have any cash on you, or you couldn't buy XYZ, whatever it was. Write down your examples of being broke. Number 3, now it's time to really assess. Why didn't you have money in your account for that, I don't know, light bill? Did you go to the club? Did you get your hair done and then your nails, and then you got the extra whatever majig on the nails, and those boots were nice and we had to get a matching bag? Or you had to go out to eat at this very fancy restaurant? Whatever it is, write it down. Now, this part is always painful. Although we are using an example of being broke, this applies pretty much to anything. And the work here is going to be on being brutally honest with yourself. Brutally. You could lie to yourself, but when you do, your Ori will just do as you instructed. This will make more sense, I promise. But for this part, it's going to suck. Be brutally, brutally honest with yourself on the why you, whatever it was that we are assessing. So for now, for this example is we're broke, right? Step number 4, I call it grief and accepting responsibility. This part, I feel that it's similar to the one above, but it isn't. This is where we grieve that we haven't done what we were supposed to do or make the right choices. Some folks will say, oh, you don't need to do that. Just move forward and just keep moving forward and just, the past is done and da 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 da. The truth is, many people can't move forward until there's some type of closure. They can't just do that because they're busy beating themselves up. I'm a champion at this, meaning beating myself up. I really, really am. And we are our own worst possible critics. And that's how some people are. And some people are more this than others. So what I have seen that works for me is to take some time to grieve that I have made bad choices, that I screwed up by getting my nails done or whatever it is that the example is, right? And this is why I didn't have any money for the light bill. You can cry, you can get mad, you can, you grieve, you can show your anger, I could have done this, da 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 da. Just don't punch anyone and don't hurt yourself. But if you need to punch someone, go out and make a hearty run around the neighborhood, or a heavy workout, or the infamous pillow punching, but get it out of your system. This is where that grieving part is. The part about taking responsibility is for taking responsibility for what you did to get you into that position. And as hard as it is, because it's not going to feel fun, know that this is part of the work that you will be doing. This is the process, and it will not be overnight. This works really well for the people who like to journal out there because paper doesn't judge you. I know some folks have done recordings and, it works for them, but choose a medium that works when you're going through this process. The purpose is to release yourself from being a victim. In Ifa and our traditions, we don't believe that there are victims. We are masters of our lives, and we begin to weave our web of life since young, because remember, we come with a purpose from Orun, from heaven. So coming over here, we already have something that we are supposed to be doing. Know that if you have been, quote unquote, a certain way since you are young, and that's why you are in the place that you are, there is still hope for you. True story. Lately, I have been very geeked out reading about the brain. I know, I'm a total geek, but guess what? Our brain cells do not stop generating as it was believed. We can continue to learn and grow and develop our brains, which is interesting because there are folks that think that once they've hit a certain age, that's it, they're done and they can't do anything more. And this is not true. Okay, remember, take the time to grieve and then take accountability for everything that has happened to get you, quote unquote, there, whatever that negative situation is. Here is a notice for those who have been through horrific things like, let's say, a rape, molestation, things like that. No, this does not mean that you are responsible for what happened to you in that instance. It's terrible, should have never happened because some people are very misaligned with what they're supposed to do and they do very, very bad things. If anything like this has happened, and this is where the negative things are coming from, we can speak from what you decided to do afterwards. And from that point, from there forward. Not that you were asking for that situation, okay? Never, never, never that. Number 5, create affirmations which affirm what you want to be to begin to steer your Ori into the direction that you want to go. Using the same example of I'm broke, instead of saying I'm broke, this would be an affirmation that I would write, keep, repeat every single chance I get, everywhere, sticky notes, wherever it is, reminders on your phone, whatever you need to do. I make great financial choices. I take care of what is most important first, which is my rent, light and gas, phone bill, food, transportation. I always have enough money to take care of my living expenses with ease, and my Ori makes it so. I would post this everywhere, everywhere. This is so important because now you are replacing the infamous I'm broke with the above affirmation as though it is already done. It is a done deal. Your Ori is now going to process it like, oh, so I'm not broke. I have money that we can pay these bills. And this is what's important. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Then when you see your favorite nails place, your Ori kicks in and say, please, 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 please pay attention to what I'm about to say. Because when your Ori kicks in, you're going to get a feeling. For some people, you might hear a little voice in your head that sounds just like you. And it might say something like, uh-oh, we haven't checked the balance of the bank yet. And we're not sure if we have enough for this right now. we're not getting paid for another week. Not sure we have enough to cover this bill if we get our nails done right now, but we could get our nails done after the bill is paid, and it's scheduled to be paid in about a week and a half. So maybe it isn't a good idea to do this right now. Maybe we could get something else, an ice cream or whatever. It's just, I don't know. That's what came to mind, an ice cream. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, when you go through this process, your Ori is going to give you something. Some people feel like a nudge in the pit of their stomach. Some people feel it in their chest. Some people hear a little voice in their head, like, hey, we're not supposed to be getting our nails done because we really don't have. Because remember, we have to pay this bill. Because now your Ori is guiding you to exactly where you are telling it to go. And, for example, this is to make sure you pay the light bill. Okay? That was step number 5. Be sure that you listen now. You write those affirmations and you listen. Okay. Step number 6, make a plan. We're going to go back to the non-paid light bill. Just, I don't know, because it's a good example, I guess. We've been through the assessment. We were dorks by getting our hair done, our nails and the new boots and whatever, and we never checked our balance. Now it's time to be an adult and write down a plan. For this example, we're going to write how much in average is needed for this bill. And yes, we can estimate by looking at the expenses, and we can write down how much is needed on our end. So let's say the gas and electricity right now is about $80 a month, right? I know for some people it's a lot more, some people less, but for this example, it's $80. Let's say you get paid every week. It might not be a bad idea to take literally $20 out every week, put it in an envelope in your house, somewhere that it's not touched, and deposit it to the bank right before it's due. Or maybe move it to another account, or adding reminders to your calendar, whatever it is. This is about you writing a plan, a grown-up plan with every possibility and step that you can think of. If you don't have any ideas for whatever your challenge is, seriously, use the internet. This is great. If you're having a challenge, for example, you're saying that you're a horrible mom, you can go to the internet, tips on being a better mom, say tips on being a better, whatever it is. And you can start crafting a plan to see what is going to work. Here's the funny thing. When you begin to every day use these affirmations, for example, paying your bill on time, always having enough money, this will be a top of mind for you. And you will begin to make actions. Literally, you'll begin to do actions which reflect that. Now you're going to spend more time researching and how to save more money and keep up to date with that bill as you begin to apply things. By now, the thought of I'm broke shouldn't even be a thing that you tell yourself, because no, you're not broke. You and your Ari, just that whole thing of being broke is unexistent, because you've already told your Ari that you're not broke, that you do have the money. Got it? I know it's a lot, but I think once you start doing step by step, it begins to make sense. Now, last step number 7, express gratitude. Have you ever noticed that when someone says, thank you for da 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 da, it feels good and you want to do more? Imagine your Ori is now all happy that you have acknowledged it to do something good for you. And it's just going to want to do more. So I thank my Ori for making sure that this month we got our light bill paid, and I have, an extra $13, and or I have more money, or this time I'm in the green, and I am grateful for my Ori for making it so. And now your Ori is going to be kind of like a little kid, like, all right, I am going to do way more to do great and to align this person. So you are now aligning with your Ori towards positive things, and your Ori is going to work hard to get you where you need to go. Now we're going to go to the last step. Step number 8. Start from step 1. Yes, Ori work is very involved. And this is a very spiritual foundation which spills over into our daily lives and things that we need to do, like schoolwork, our jobs, our work, dealing with our parents, parenting jobs, being a great spouse, husband, wife, etc. Ori work really is woven in. You cannot separate them. How do you know that you're going in the right direction? When your head, your heart, and your gut are all okay, green lights, in agreement with whatever decision it is that you're making. In the example above, the one that we mentioned, do you think you'll be in a much better place if you start working through your challenges with this spiritual mindset? Do you think that this type of framework will get you together? I do suggest that if you're going to do this part, you start on one challenge at a time, because working on being a good wife, being a good mother, being a good employee, and losing 20 pounds, doing them all at the same time can be very, very overwhelming. So I would choose one and do that one. When you start aligning your Ori, you start heading where you need to go in your daily life. I am just hoping that these steps will help you to get you into more positiveness, more abundance, more spirituality, and just more of the good things that life has to offer. We have reached the end of episode 26. Oh my goodness, this was a very packed episode. For show notes, go to www.orishawisdom.com/26, number 26. I will put all of these links in there so that you don't have to do anything right now. Stay tuned for the next episode, where we will be discussing abundance with our very first guest of the Orisha Wisdom podcast, Iya Dr. Funlaya Woods Menzies. I can't wait to share it with you all. She drops so many spiritual knowledge bombs that I am far too excited, and I cannot wait for that episode. If you haven't heard, I'm really, really excited to find out what you think about the Orisha Traditions greeting cards. I know it's very, very exciting to be able to see something like this, but I can't bring anything to life without knowing first what you guys think about it or not. So I have a super easy link for you. It's orishawisdom.com/cards. It's a small survey to let me know what you think about Orisha Traditions greeting cards. Just let me know, because I think that this is something that we can all share with the people that we love within our traditions. So don't worry about it. I will put the link on the show notes. Until next time, may the elevated ancestors and all Orisha bless you immensely. And may your Oris take you to where your destiny lies. Odabo.
Thank you for listening to the Orisha Wisdom podcast. Be sure to check out the show notes at orishawisdom.com/podcast. Can't get enough of Orisha Wisdom? Check us out at orishawisdom.com and subscribe to our community. Remember, the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha is all around us. Be blessed, and until next time.